I'm thinking, like, when do you guys think Wrath is gonna come out? Like, it would be really cool if they brought it out for Christmas. Wrath of the Lich King's most controversial features. Yeah, it's only 12 minutes. I'll try not to pause it too much, and we'll get into this, okay, guys?
On the channel, we talk a lot about Wrath of the Lich King, what's good about it, and what changes it will make. But it also did things to the game that for many were a negative. Unnecessary convenience steps, making some areas of the game just a brainless time sink, and degrading the community aspect of the game that early versions of WoW had sought to drive. Take this all with a grain of salt, of course, but these are some of the more common complaints about Wrath. I don't think they're going to stop it from being a huge success, but I reckon it's interesting to highlight that even during the expansion itself, some of these things had started to become noticeable problems. Let's get into it and talk about Wrath of the Lich King's most controversial features. Let's just start.
In my opinion, I think they have to release Wrath with the Group Finder. And it has nothing to do with my personal opinion of the Group Finder. It has to do with the fact that a lot of people are on servers that are so dead, it might be impossible for them to find a group unless they're in the Group Finder. I think they have to do it. Like, yeah, I mean, like, really, like, I think that's what has to happen. Like, because there's so many servers, like, where you just can't do anything. Like, I don't, like, I feel bad for the people on those servers. Like, I'm not on one of those servers. I don't need to deal with that. However, a lot of other people are. Just merge all servers. I would love to see a massive server merge. I think that servers in general, there is no upside to the player that servers exist. Official PK Plays, thanks for the 10 gifted subs. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, there's no benefit to the player. It is just a limitation technologically. I am not a fan of servers. I wish everybody was on the same overall server. I would love that. I think that'd be way cooler.
Start it off with
Mega
a big
servers.
one, shall we? Dungeon Finder.
There it is.
So the tool we have in TBC at the moment is a rather rudimentary version of what they use in retail, which is named the LFM, or Looking for More tool. It's missing a lot of features, and players have made their own LFG through the bulletin board add-on. So having a good interface to search for others is clearly a desirable idea. Originally moving from TBC to Wrath, very little changed with this system. You logged into Dalaran, you went to see what the daily was, and then you stood there and spammed to find a party. You're going to want way more badges than TBC, believe me. Patch 3.3 did away with the old LFG and introduced the Dungeon Finder tool. Very simple concept: open the interface, choose your role, press find group, wait, and then join a dungeon when it pops. You're instantly teleported to said dungeon and you are matched with players across your entire region. This was the second region-wide feature Blizzard had introduced. The other was cross-round BGs in vanilla, which was patch 1.12.
Which was also a good thing, by the way. I know there's people classic Andes. Like, I'm talking about, like, fucking, these are the classic Andes. Nobody that has this opinion doesn't have gray hair. Nobody. But they thought that the BG should have been server specific. Are you fucking kidding me? They should have been server specific. Are you crazy?
Parallel here, end of expansion feature that makes something cross-realm. And I'm just saying, nobody complained about cross-realm BGs, and they were in Classic from day one. So what are the issues with Looking for Dungeon? People don't like the anonymity it provides. You can be the most terrible person to others and have zero accountability because you don't play on the same.
Lies. That is such a lie. On Kel'Thuzad, anybody who knows about this, on Kel'Thuzad, like S-Fan played on KT back in the day as well. Mitch played on KT. Ask S-Fan or Mitch. S-Fan and I, like, didn't really overlap a lot whenever we played on the server, but like Mitch and I did. Like, we would Barry too. Like, ask any of them. Whenever we were on the server, I would ninja loot a Vault of Archivon on my 5th alt, and I would be spamming on my 6th alt for a new group for Vault of Archivon, while people are complaining about me ninjaing it on my 5th character in trade chat. And the reason I'm on my 5th character is because I had done it 4 times before that in the same day. Like, what do you mean? It was Jesus Christ, man. It was disgusting. It was absolutely filthy. Like, there was no accountability on my server whatsoever. We would ninja loot fucking everything every week, and there were so many people on the server it didn't even matter. And then also, like, people would say, they're like, well, people would message me, like, good players would message me like, hey, look, bro, we know what you're gonna do. Do you need the belt? I'm like, no. I do. Do you need 5k? I'm like, yep. So if I get the belt, you get 5K? I'm like, yeah, it sounds great. All right, you're in. Let's go. And, hey. Hey, it is what it is.
Realm, ninjaing items, pulling
disgusting.
random packs,
It was awful.
flaming, all the good stuff to expect from Internet of Randoms. The activity outside of dungeons of players gradually getting together,
so cool.
summoning, interacting, gone. Just flat out gone. The open world will get a lot more empty because people will be AFKing, doing weapon skill, yeah, that still exists, training professions, and just generally doing something else with their time other than spamming the chat. You don't know whether your tank is actually a tank or a Fury Warrior who doesn't like waiting for the DPS queue time.
Guess which one I was? Does anybody want to take a wild guess at which one I was? But the thing is that I did that and we cleared the dungeon faster because I had full fucking ICC 25-man gear, and they are lucky that I was there doing that fucking damage. Okay, it was me. Yes, it was me all along.
Maybe the dungeons are simple enough for this to not be an issue, and dual spec is a thing, so at least they can be propped. But trying to deal with somebody who is clearly not set up to tank in any form as a healer or a DPS, and watching them get deleted on every other pack or doing no threat is just frustrating.
Bro, do y'all remember that? Like, and that was the pull right there. Is at the very beginning. This is the first pull of Halls of Lightning, and you would get in there with a tank, and the tank would have like 14,000 health. And he would just die the first two mobs before the healer even did one big heal on him. And I'd be like, all right, guys, I gotta go.
To game ICC dungeons with Forge of Souls, Pit of Sauron, and Halls of Reflection actually do hit pretty hard and will clap lower gear players out. So should anything change with this system? Honestly, I don't want to see any.
Do you want to do you want to know how to scare a Wrath of the Lich King player? Here, let me show you. Here, I'll show you how to scare a Wrath of the Lich King player. You guys ready? Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh my, oh no. Oh God, oh. Not again. Get it away. Get it away. And then, oh wait, if it's not that bad, where's another one? Do I have another one here? Here's another one. Where's another one? Oh God, oh no, oh shit, no, man, come on, man, you're gonna make me run this one again? No, fuck, shit, dude, come on. I gotta leave, I'm gonna throw up, man. Yeah, my favorite one to do was Gundrak. I liked Gundrak the most, that was my favorite one. And like, I remember I would get this loading screen, and like, I had such good gear at that point in Wrath that like, even my Paladin or I played Wrath like all day, every day, right? And so like, all of my characters were like pretty well geared. So like, I could pretty much carry any of these runs, but holy shit, man. Like, I was still so much more annoying. Violet Hold, I didn't like Violet Hold.
Half measures to it. Imagine if it auto-formed your group but then doesn't teleport you to a dungeon. Well, it's going to be either I'm at the stone because I'm a useful person who wants to summon and go, but nobody else is, so I just have to wait for them, or nobody's at the stone, so I get on my flying mount, point it in the right direction, and then go FK for a few minutes. What's really the point of either of those? So should the whole system just be same server instead, perhaps? Well, let's take a look at two of the biggest population servers in the world.
You know what I wish they would do? Is that, like, this is something that's kind of a tangent with Lost Ark, but I wish they would let you enter the dungeons at a little bit lower item level than what's required. Like, let's say you could enter Argos at, like, 1360 instead of 1375, and, like, have people help you get geared out. Like, yeah, they do? No, they don't. They only do that on Korean servers. You can't do that on NA. You see what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's not in... No, you can't. Yeah, exactly. Like... That's the difference.
At the moment, there's a weekly player base of 35,000 players, and Benediction has just under 30k. I don't know, you want a community on somewhere like that? It's an enormous crowd. There's so many different faces there. I'd expect these to peak 50k in Wrath as well, by the way. And if you don't want to do it with randoms, just do it with your guild. Hop on and say, hey, who wants to do the daily? Everyone wants to do one daily dungeon. It shouldn't be hard to find people within your own group. And then if you do want the Chernobyl experience, you can enter the LFD. There is actually something which I really believe they should take take into consideration it was a hotfix made in kata. I'm not going to read a lot of it here, pause if you like, but I think if you go over it, you will agree all of these seem like very sensible things that should be in the LFD. I'll go over 2 of them. If there is a group of 3 or more friends and somebody in that group initiates a vote kick of a random party member, it now requires 4 votes to kick the player instead of the standard 3. The penalty...
That's fair. Like, and that is, it is fair. Like, as much as you want to be able to do it, it's just better for the game. It's fair.
If you're using the vote kick feature too often, will now not allow the player to initiate a vote kick for 2 hours, up from 45 minutes. Yeah, I think that's dumb. I do. I think you should be able to choose who you play with. Just like in general, I don't like the idea. Like, the reason why I don't like the idea that people should not be able to choose who they play with is that whenever you have a situation where people can't choose who they play with, it creates entitlement from the people who know that they can get a free ride. Like, don't queue then? Well, no, just like, don't be bad then. Be good. Yeah, then leave, or for a party. No, I think that, like, for example, then just don't be bad. It's that simple. Whenever Wrath's out, it would benefit from every change made
here. I always thought this was
Blizzard
dumb.
Sees this and takes it into consideration.
Because, like, people, like in LFR, for example, like, people all the time, like, just slack off and AFK. Like, they slack off AFK. They're just, like, you look at the rotation, and it's like a warrior, and, like, 90% of his damage is whirlwind, the other 10% is auto attacks. Like, you're just not doing anything. Like, you're just spamming the same button over and over and over. Like, you should not be punished in any way for, like, holding people accountable for that.
You know, it wasn't just Blizzard who were adding controversial features in Wrath. Players had a go at it too with the Gear Score add-on. This gave each item you wore a numerical value, which added up to your total gear score. The higher your gear score, the better gear you had overall. Easy, right? So what didn't people like? Well, first of all, the add-on just didn't do a very good job of actually judging how good your gear was.
Do you guys remember whenever you would put on all of your gear? Because, like, so, like, you would... So this is how it would work, right? It's like you would put on all of your gear, and then you would message somebody to invite you to ICC. Like, I would put on, like, all my shitty heroic gear that has, like, haste mastery or something like that I don't use. I would put it on, and then I would get invited, and then I'd take it off again.
More to this than just item level and raw stats on something. Sometimes an item from an old raid was just so good you were wearing it for a long time, so your gear could be correct, but somebody else has a higher gear score. Gear score was part of the grand rise of player screening. The 10-man normal content was designed to be easy and accessible in Wrath. Hugging saw a huge rise in popularity throughout the expansion.
That's not the only reason. The other reason for it is because the item levels were uniform in Wrath in a way that they were not uniform as much in TBC. So, like, in vanilla WoW, item levels were just all over the place. But in TBC, most things were pretty much about the same. But in Wrath of the Lich King, every piece of gear that dropped from a raid was, like, the same item level. You see what I'm saying? So, like, yeah, everything was the exact same. Everything worked the exact same way. So it was much easier to have a gear score for that.
And badge gear with each new major patch meant everybody had access to really good epics. So how do we know how good somebody is really? Link your gear score and achievement. You could fake achievements through add-ons and equip random high item level gear to make your character appear better. People didn't like being screened for content without being given a chance, yet over time gear score would carry on to be considered a relevant number, and in retail today is now a full-on part of the game.
Well, it has to be. Like, the thing is that you need to have some sort of tool to determine if somebody has good gear or not. Like, one way or another, you have to be able to have some way to distinguish the quality of people that you're playing with. And gear score is just the most convenient way of doing so. That's it. Like, you're not going to be, oh, well, I want to be invited because I've got a great personality. Oh, I'm ready to go. Let's go and do this. Shut the fuck up. Nobody wants to have a great personality. They want to have great DPS. They don't give a fuck about your personality. Nobody's going to talk in the group chat anyway. Shut the fuck up. Like, that's what it is. And it's simple, isn't it? It's very, very simple. And gear score is just the easiest way to, at a glance, to determine if somebody's a good player or not. It's not a guarantee. Absolutely not. It's certainly not in many cases. However, it is the best way of telling things that is just a uniform numeric number. Like, it is just a numeric number. That's it. It is the easiest and cleanest way to do it. Some people like the community aspect too, but whatever gear score is always good. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure some people do. But I think most of the people that like the community aspect are the people with low gear score, and they're just saying that they like it because it's beneficial for them.
Of doubt, the same add-on will make a return.
I think
for
cup
Wrath,
size is better than gear score.
If it does, I think players will actually make a quote-unquote correct gear score, where say a BIS item is worth 100 points, second BIS is worth 90, and so on for each patch. Can't wait to see
That's probably not what they'll do. They'll probably just not have the gear score add-on at all, because the gear score add-on itself is fundamentally useless. There's no reason to have gear score, because gear score got replaced by item level, and item level became visible to players, and I think the patch right before Ulduar or the patch right after Ulduar, because people didn't know then like what the difference between 226 or 232 gear was or anything like that. And so yeah, it's still useful. So that's, yeah, I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think 100% what's going to happen is people are just going to use item level.
Arguments over what's BIS, if that's a thing, because people love arguing about gear. Moving on though, raids, they're a little hit and miss. I've talked about it before on the channel, but tier 7, that being revamped Nax 1025, Eye of Eternity, and Sartharian Talair, are all very much straightforward and are going to be run over in no time by how knowledgeable the player base is these days. And then later we have Trial of the Crusader. This was the first tier where Blizzard tried heroic raiding, but heroic didn't share a lockout with normal, meaning at the time players were doing up to 4 different versions of the same raid
absolute
each reset. Whilst I think Ulduar and Icy,
the worst raid tier Blizzard has ever made, and it's not even close.
PC will be great. Half the raiding content the expansion will provide has cause for problems in difficulty or repetitiveness. These were also complaints during the actual expansion, and both the raids that saw problems had them addressed in their respective follow-up tier. Ulduar added hard modes to have challenging content, and ICC had shared lockouts between difficulties. Now if we look back to TBC...
If I actually could make a change in Wrath, I would increase the item level of the Ulduar gear. I would increase it to where it's just a little bit under TOC, to where there's still more of an incentive to do Ulduar whenever TOC's out. Because like whenever, like put it into perspective, right? So like Ulduar gear was 226 and 232. Weapons were 232. Gear was 226. Heroic gear, sorry, hard mode gear was 239. And this is like for 25 man. And so you need to have 239 gear in order for it to even be competitive. And then TOC 10 man gear was 232. TOC 25 man normal, by the way, which was a fucking joke, was already 245. It was so bad that Blizzard actually had to go back and retroactively increase the stats on Valinir because people felt like their legendary mace didn't matter because they had already got better gear from TOC. So what I would wish them to do is increase the item level for Ulduar gear to just like a little bit under that. Because in my opinion, I think that the Ulduar hard modes are harder than the TOC normal modes. I really think so. I think that make it 245 at least, and then make like the Ulduar gear like maybe like 250 or something, like maybe like, I don't know, like 240, 248. That way it's a little bit better than the TOC gear. That's one thing, is because like TOC 25 man fucking heroic was 258. And like that was just way higher. So like if you can do 25 man TOC heroic, you just no reason to ever go back to Ulduar besides the mace. Like I really don't want to see them kill Ulduar again. How about just reduce TOC gear? No, I don't think so. Actually, maybe that is a better solution. Yeah, but I feel like they should be closer in line with each other. Very few pauses
chose
indeed.
To stagger raid releases. We had about 3.5 months of Karag, Rule and Mag, and I think most people erred on the side of that felt a little bit long for what it was. And what did we have to do in TBC apart from raid? You had your PvP, you had your rep farms, and the big one, attunements, getting revered for heroics, farming your badge gear, the Kara quest line, and so on. In Wrath, there's PvP, there's rep farm, there's achievements, no attunements though. Well, okay, you need one person to have killed KT to do Eye of Eternity, but that's not much of a hurdle, is it?
Personally, actually not killing KT. It is getting the necklace from the quest reward from Saffron that you then turn into Alexstrasza at the top of Wormrest Temple to unlock the Eye of Eternity. But yes, close enough.
I'm treating Phase 1 as Wrath as the same as TBC. The setup phase. Do my professions,
to
farm gold,
226
do
neck,
any
by the
weapon
way.
skill, set up ults for professions, or cap them for raiding and so
Saffron
on.
normally
If
drops
Blizzard came out and
213
say,
gear.
hey, guess what? We're doing optional tier 7 hard modes. Sure, I'd be down for it. I don't think they will do that though, not just due to the effort, but there's a lot that goes into it, like tuning, rewards, and achievements. For Trial of the Crusader, however, I wouldn't be surprised if they take the change from ICC and make the difficulty share lockouts, just so we aren't clearing the room 4 times a week. Next.
No, I don't think that's the solution. I think the solution is to make it where the Old War gear is still competitive. Because I think the worst thing about TOC is the fact that it invalidated Old War. Like, it had nothing to do with the content itself in TOC. TOC, the fights were like, okay, they're fine. But, like, just make the Old War gear better.
The leveling and looms, or heirlooms specifically. In Wrath, there's a few different ones.
Maybe you're right,
There's
man.
weapons and trinkets, these just give stats, and then there's the shoulders and chest, which give 10% bonus XP each, and a ring from winning the Kalawak Fishing Derby that gives a further 5%.
God, bro, I got that ring myself. I remember I fished that shit up. I felt like such a fucking winner whenever I got that. I took like 15 screenshots of one fish whenever I got that item.
Actually are heirlooms though. How do they work in Wrath? Well, they're items that are account bound that level up with you, equipable all the way from level 1 through to level cap, and they're bought in Dalaran using badges which are obtained from a whole host of different...
By the way, little fun fact, little 2 cents from me. I thought that heirlooms were garbage. I thought heirlooms sucked. I hate heirlooms. You know why? It's because how cool was it whenever you had your alt and you got your alt up to level 35 and you bought yourself the Staff of Jordan. That was cool, wasn't it? It gave you things to look forward to. Gearing up an alt is something that you look forward to. You don't look forward to shit whenever you have the heirlooms, man. I wish the heirlooms, so like, this is what I wish they would do with like current WoW. I wish the heirlooms would just empower a tabard. And you just wear the tabard, and the tabard has buffs associated with it based off of how many heirlooms you have. And you can still get gear, because I think character visual progression looks way cooler than just going through the entire game with the exact same gear. It's so boring. But leveling now is boring in general anyway, so it's just a formality. I wouldn't be surprised if Blizzard completely got rid of leveling next expansion.
Things. The idea here is to make alts easy to level. You essentially will never take an heirloom off from the moment you equip it until level cap, both for the XP benefits and the fact they're just really good items with the correct stats and they do a lot of damage. Already in TBC, leveling has been toned down. Heirlooms will make it really easy. Not retail levels of easy, but
it wasn't
classic,
that bad.
Yes, it's extremely noticeable. If you ever get to the point where you're on a fully loomed out character, you're going to be surprised by how fast the leveling.
I feel like one big point is like leveling like 1 to 30 is like super fucking fast, because usually whenever you're level like 6 or something like that, you're level 12, you don't have gear with stats on it. So like you're usually using like a white item or something like that. So you have heirlooms, and like not only is your gear BIS stats, but it also has other like damage stats on top of that. It's crazy. But people don't level, they buy boosts. I mean, like in TBC and in Wrath.
Can be. Back in the day, WoW was still on a growing curve at this point in time.
Yeah, it was.
New people were joining, or level cap players were leveling alts. It was seen as the turning point of leveling just becoming easy and oversimplified. Oh, and don't forget we had the LFD system on top of this. You can smash those in looms. You know what leveling change I want to see in Wrath? Them to add the Night Elf Mohawk back into the starter zones.
They need to, yes, you're so
Next
right.
is something I mentioned recently, but I just have to include it here because it was so controversial. World of Warcraft's first ever store mount was added to the game in patch 3.3.3. $25 was the price of a mount that probably should have dropped in Ulduar, but I guess Blizzard liked the Invincible model so much, so they wanted another way for people to get their hands on a horse with wings. This time with bonus sparkles.
I mauled about this so much whenever it came out. You know what? I even complained in Burning Crusade about the TBC the card mounts, like Spectral Tiger and shit. And everybody said, who cares? I was going to say Baldy, but I wasn't Baldy then. Who cares, stupid high school kid? Shut up. Nobody cares what you think. Just buy the horse. Get your mom to pay for it. It's okay. That's all it was.
Definitely made waves in the community in 2010 for all of the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Why? The same reason as literally every store mount that's ever been put in the game. It looks unique, You can't get it in the game,
True.
and you're already paying twice to be able to play.
True.
WTF. Blizz. Finally,
True.
the community. WoW players. It all started to get more divided. The old guard of players began to resent the convenience and accommodation offered to the newer era of players, labeling those who started during Wrath as
Wrath
babies. These guys had no idea how hard the game used to be.
We had a guild on KT, it was a PvPer guild, it was called Wrath of the Lazy Kids. Oh my god, I remember this so well, man. Oh my god, I'm a Wrath baby? Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, Wrath was like, if I was gonna redesign WoW, like, from the ground up, like, just completely, I wouldn't really care a lot about, like, LFD and stuff like that. It wouldn't really matter that much to me, because, like, I think WoW doesn't really, like, whenever you think about it, WoW basically got rid of LFD. You guys realize that, right? For your sub-badge win? Soon, Rayquaza, soon. Yeah, they actually got rid of it, because you can't Mythic LFD, and everybody just says Mythic Plus, so they effectively removed it from the game. It's pretty cool.
X40, 0.1% of the player base cleared it, if that. This new Naxxramas is a joke. Heroics were super hard in TBC.
The
now
old one was too.
Rolling with randoms. Attunements would take us weeks to do, and now you can just walk into any raid. Leveling in vanilla was hardcore. It's just...
See, I feel like doing the attunements wasn't actually that bad. Like, I did my entire Karazhan and some of my other attunements in TBC in like a day. Like, it wasn't really that bad. It was just like back then we were shit at the game. Like, I would be completely fine with attunements if they were account wide. And this is the same thing I said with like other, like, they're boring. I don't think they're boring at all. I actually think the Karazhan attunement was really cool. And I would prefer if attunements gave you an ability to, like, you know how you needed the legendary cloak or something like that to fight N'Zoth, or it turns you into insane? I wish that's how attunements work. Is that you could enter the dungeon without the attunement, but you would have weaknesses to certain things in the fights, and it would be harder for you to complete the fights. And there'd be like wall fights, like N'Zoth, for example. Like the Onyxia cloak. That's a great example. Perfect example. You just have to like think outside the box and like do different things with the content. I just think like so many times like they just do the same stuff every time, and it's like boring. Like it's just boring. Like only casuals would attune? No, you would just have it to be like, you have to have this, right? I mean, it's the same thing with anything else. Just make it as a setting in a group finder. No problem.
So easy now. For us now looking back, having redone Classic and the majority of TBC, we know that essentially people back then, well, they just kind of sucked at the game. They knew less, they had less information available, but that's not to say some of these things aren't certainly true. Heroics are more simple, achievements are gone, and revamped Naxx will prove to be much easier than vanilla version. But that is Wrath. Those are the decisions that were made then for the game.
Yeah, it's like you can't change too much of it, because if you're changing all that much of it, then how is it still Wrath? I think that in general, like, one thing I just want to see them do is like just try to make more interesting stuff. Like just make more interesting content in general. And like I feel like so much of like what happens with WoW nowadays is like it's developed under like such rigid guidelines. It's like, well, we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't do this, we can't do that. It's just like, in a way, I can commend Blizzard for coming out with covenants. I can't commend how they didn't respond to feedback, but I commend the attempt. I do. I think this is like, wow, okay, you're trying to do something different. You know, that's really cool.
We've enjoyed Classic so far with minimal changes to core features. After all, it's an old game that brings back good and bad.
Sorry, I'll pause again. I know this is going to upset you guys. But what I was going to say, I was actually going to say something else there that I forgot, is that I actually really like the long-form progression systems at endgame. You guys can see that because I enjoy Lost Ark a lot, and I like doing all the progression systems in there. I think it's very fun. The thing that I don't like is having to do it twice. So, like, for example, like Tower Knowledge and Torghast. Tower Knowledge and doing Tower Knowledge in 9.1, unpopular take, Tower Knowledge was great. Perfect system. I loved it. Good job, Blizzard. Great job. Actually good system. Bad job that it wasn't on all characters, and it wasn't account-wide.
bother with trying to get overly involved in changing things too dramatically. Maybe you don't love everything about the expansion.
You don't like multi-character same task idea?
That is okay. Seasonal servers are where changes will be, if they are a thing one day, of course, which I reckon they will be eventually. That's everything though. Let me know if any other features stand out to you as controversial in the expansion. As always, thank you all so much for watching and listening in, and I will see you all in the next one very soon.
There it is. Do you think it's an engine issue where Blizzard can't make it account wide? Nope. I think it's an issue that Blizzard doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. Yep. I think that's actually what it was. Yeah, they ain't got no idea what the fuck is happening. How long until Wrath? I think that they will probably release Wrath. I'm thinking, like, when do you guys think Wrath is gonna come out? Like, it would be really cool if they brought it out for Christmas. It would be so cool if Wrath came out for Christmas. Because, like, let's see, right now we're in, what's this one, April? And so, Sunwell will probably come out in, I don't know, probably, like, late May or June or something like that. And then 6 months until Wrath comes out. Is that enough? I don't know. Yeah, what do you guys think? I love to see it happen for Christmas season. That'd be great. Technology can only be scaled so much. There's a high chance that some of the things aren't account wide. The engine is locked. I mean, you could be right, but there's always a way around it. I feel like all you have to do is be innovative. It's the same thing that they did with the conduit energy. They said conduit energy is a problem. We don't have an overall fix for it right now. So all we're going to do is tune the resets to where it resets all of your conduit energy every single day. Problem fucking solved. So that's the way I see it. Is it like, yeah, you don't have to do, yeah, introduce a vendor or something like that. Yeah, I will almost never take that as an excuse. Because they've always got other options. There's always something different you can do. Please, no more WoW. Ooh, we're gonna have to watch another video now. 7 more changes in Wrath of the Lich King that you forgot about. But we're gonna remind you now. To be fair, I would do that, but we're so far into it, I'm gonna play the game. Okay? Like, I'm actually gonna play the game.